Only a handful of priests in the diocese have reached the half-century mark in years of service. And when it happens, it's a big deal. Well, that milestone was reached last month in Ludlow for one priest who has become almost as popular and beloved as the sport of soccer in that town. And that's saying a lot. Steve Kiltonick has this report.
On May 3rd, St. Elizabeth Church in Ludlow was filled to capacity. Parishioners, friends, and priests from across the diocese, along with Springfield Bishop Mitchell Rodzansky, gathered to honor Monsignor Homer Paul Gosselin, the pastor of St. Elizabeth's, who was celebrating the 50th anniversary of his ordination. Father David Caron, the vicar of evangelization for the Archdiocese of New Orleans, gave the homily. The two have remained close since the 1980s, when Monsignor Gosselin was pastor of Notre Dame Parish in North Adams. Following the Mass, over 400 people attended a reception at the Castle of Knights in Chicopee, where Monsignor received various citations, including an apostolic blessing from Pope Francis and a plaque from the Ludlow Fire Department, which Monsignor Gosselin is the chaplain. At St. Elizabeth's, Monsignor Gosselin reflected back on his 50 years of priesthood and the various people and events that have shaped his life. Monsignor Gosselin grew up in the Aldenville section of Chicopee, where he was a parishioner at St. Rose de Lima Parish. It was here that his pastor, Father Charles Fortin, had a tremendous impact on the young Homer Gosselin.
My parents were very devout, involved in the church. My mom was in the choir, and my dad was in the League of the Sacred Heart, the men's group.
In Aldenville, many French-Canadian immigrants settled to work the mills. Homer was the youngest of three. He had an older sister and brother, Claire and Ron.
We all went to St. Joan of Arc, and we enjoyed each other's company. But unfortunately, my dad died when I was 10 years old. So Mom really became the support of the family.
Monsignor Fortin, who built the present St. Rose de Lima Church, became Gosselin's mentor.
He was so special. I loved him. He was more like a grandfather figure to me, because obviously he was an older man, but he took a lot of interest in me, and as an altar server, he would spend a lot of time chatting with me, and he's really, because of him, he's the one that instilled a vocation, a desire for priesthood.
After graduating from Precious Blood High School in 1961, Homer Gosselin went to St. Thomas Seminary, then the Seminary of Philosophy in Montreal, before spending 4 more years at St. John's Seminary in Brighton. Monsignor Gosselin was ordained by Bishop Christopher Weldon on May 3, 1969, which also happens to be his parents' wedding anniversary.
I remember lying there, listening to the Litany of the Saints, and literally saying, after all those years, saying, "What are you doing here? Is this really what God is asking you to do?" But then after ordination, I never doubted that that's what God wanted me to do.
The newly ordained priest and mother received a blessing from Bishop Weldon in the sacristy, then left via the back door of the cathedral.
And as I'm coming down the stairs, my brother was at the bottom of the stairs, and he gave me this hug, and we must have cried for 5 minutes, just hugging each other. It's still an emotional thing for me, to show his support. Because my brother and I were very different. He was the jock, and I was the church guy.
Gosselin's first assignment as a priest was St. Thomas Aquinas Parish in Springfield's North End, where he was the assistant for 4 years. In 1974, after a short stay at Notre Dame in Pittsfield, Father Gosselin was sent to St. John the Baptist in Ludlow, the present St. Elizabeth's. He remained the assistant here for 8 years until 1982, when he was transferred to Notre Dame in North Adams, taking on the role as pastor. A year later, Bishop Joseph McGuire asked Father Gosselin to also become pastor of Holy Family in North Adams, which was 5 miles down the road. In 1990, a pastor was needed at St. John the Baptist. Father Gosselin threw his hat into the ring. Maybe it was the luck of the Irish, but on St. Patrick's Day 1990, Gosselin returned to St. John's. He's been there ever since.
I can say that from the time I moved into this parish, I fell in love with the town of Ludlow and the people of the parish. They were so welcoming.
Next year marks Monsignor Gosselin's 30th consecutive year at St. John the Baptist, St. Elizabeth. Msgr Gosselin is particularly proud of his accomplishments at St. Elizabeth. After renovating the church, he got the ball rolling on a fundraising campaign for a pastoral center. It opened in 2007.
There isn't a day goes by that there isn't something going on in that center, and oftentimes there's 2 or 3 meetings or different things taking place at the same time.
The Meat Pie Project started years earlier as a big fundraiser in the fall. Last year, $130,000 was raised as a result of a lot of dedicated, hard-working parishioners. St. John the Baptist School, which was founded in 1924, remains the heart and soul of the parish and a great asset.
But one of the things that I think our parish is special for is its welcoming atmosphere. I have so many people that come to visit the parish and tell me that they just feel welcomed by everybody in the community.
When St. John's merged with St. Mary of the Assumption in 2007 to form St. Elizabeth, Msgr Gosselin made sure that welcoming atmosphere was extended to the new parishioners.
Traditions that had taken place at St. Mary's, we incorporated, we didn't just say, well, that's not how we do things here. We tried to work together and make them feel part of our community.
Many statues and artifacts that once graced St. Mary's can now be found inside and outside St. Elizabeth's. What do you enjoy most about being a priest?
People. I love people. And I think it's such a privilege, as priests, that people open their lives to you. They share with us things that they probably don't share with a lot of other people. Having the privilege of being with people in key moments in their life, through baptisms and weddings, and then the other spectrum, the anointing in being with people who are ill, and in funerals, and responding to families, and I have to say that so many times I'm edified by the faith of the people.
Outside of the many responsibilities being pastor, Gosselin said he likes to relax by spending time with friends, reading, and answering the call of the ocean.
I always try to take 2 or 3 weeks to go to the Cape. I do enjoy spending time there.
West Harwich and Pleasant Road Beach are his favorite places.
I always said that if they threw me out of the church, I'd become a beach bum.
Msgr Gosselin feels honored that over the years, numerous priests and deacons have come from his parish.
We don't know the influence that we have on people, but I think it stems from relating to them individually and loving them, and letting them know that they're special and that they have God-given talents.
One of the 3 diocesan priests recently ordained is Paul Norman. He recalls the day when Msgr Gosselin heard his confession when he was 14.
I got the impression that God wanted me to do for other people what Monsignor just did for me. He was always a shining example of what it meant to be a good priest, to be kind, to be compassionate. He was loving in all of his deeds.
And he was there to congratulate Father Norman on that special day. On his anniversary day, in true Homer Gosselin fashion, he said it wasn't about him, but the gift of the priesthood itself, that he's blessed to have been part of so many people's lives for over half a century. Felicitacion, Msgr Gosselin. Bravo for a job well done. For Real to Real, I'm Steve Kiltonic.